What would it take for Jeanette to, help you get from a 3 to maybe a higher number where the problem is no longer a concern for you?
Well, I mean, if she would just help out with a little bit,
Can you be
even
more specific on helping out in what way? Just so that she's understanding what your expectations are.
okay. So I guess I would like it if when I left for work, if I gave her, you know, 3 or 4 things to do, like watch her brother and sister, and empty the dishwasher, and fold the towels, that would be done and taken care of, and everybody would be safe and alive by the time I get home from work,
Mm-hmm.
without her having a fit or getting frustrated or rolling her eyes at me.
So I can tell that it is kind of overwhelming, all the things that mom is bringing up. You're saying some of the things are not accurate to what is going on. Where would you rate yourself um, right now? What rating would you give yourself in the relationship that you have with mom? One being, where your problems are, really bad. There's the lack of communication, and number 10 being where you and mom, maybe there is some positive or good communication. Where would you rate yourself right
At
now?
2.
Okay.
Yeah. We don't communicate. We don't talk. She's just always at work. She just comes home and yells. Like we just shut myself in my room. I don't want to listen to her. So
Okay. Just a quick question for the two of you. What do you guys would feel like once the problem is resolved? What are things gonna look like at the house? You bring up about the communication, and then of course you her being more helpful. What is something that we can compromise, like a goal that we can establish? When you guys will actually say, we no longer need therapy, like everything's going well. What is it gonna look like?
Well, I think it would look like her being an active participant in our household, and if I ask her to do something, then she does it. So if I ask her to help me out, then she helps out. I mean, I guess I get that she's a teenager, and sometimes teenagers don't want to help out, but I would like it if it seems like there was just a little more willingness there.
Hmm. That's actually something you brought up in our last session. You stated that you do acknowledge there's a problem going on. That you wanted your relationship with mom to be closer and for you guys to be more respectful for one another. Um, what do you think we need to do as a family to get to what mom is bringing up, a relationship where there's respect, mutual respect, where you guys are supporting each other instead of fighting and arguing?
I think she just needs to understand that I am not my sibling's mother. Because I just feel like she just wants me to be their second mom, and I'm not. Like I'm in school. Like why? Like they're not my kids.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think that just irritates me. Like I do watch them; they're alive when you get home.
They are. They're safe.
See,
Yeah.
Okay. So, what's the level of commitment that we have right now to work on those things? Maybe, bringing up the things that she just mentioned. You maybe stop telling her that she's doing all this negative things and that she's not caring for her siblings, and of course, also your concerns about her helping out. What are gonna be the signs in the future once we're ready for closure? That we're ready to close. What would be the signs that she's actually doing what you expect of her, and of course you also doing what she's expecting of you? The less reminder, the less prompting, the less highlighting the negative behaviors. What are going to be some signs that that no longer it's happening, or at least it's not happening as often as it is right now?
Just getting stuff done without all the eye rolling and all the ugh and walking out the door and oh my gosh, why do I have to do everything?
Okay. So if I could ask you guys to compromise on setting a goal for maybe 2 weeks from now, can we compromise on a goal that we can work on as a family? You two, um, it might have to do with communication. It might be with maybe less arguments, maybe helping out more in the home. What would be a goal that you two can compromise with? Let's. I would like for you, Susie, to start with maybe something, and maybe we can see if Jenna can compromise with that.
Well, I guess the goal that I would say is that, you know, I give her a list of things. I'll keep it at like 3 things. So it's not everything in our house, but if I give her a list of things each day, that by the time I get home from work, they're done.
So you're limiting yourself to only 3 things, is that
Yeah,
correct?
instead of, I know sometimes I get stressed out, I get super busy, and so I need help with mopping and vacuuming and doing all kinds of household chores. And okay, maybe sometimes I do expect a lot from Jeanette because it is really stressful for me and I'm struggling. So I guess I can also try and respect that she is a teenager and she is in high school, and so I can try and make it not as many things for her to do.
Is that something that you're willing to commit to? Maybe 3 things out of a list that mom will be working with you?
Yeah, 3 is fine. 3 is a good number.
Right.
No more than 3.
Well, I'm glad that you're bringing this up because I want you guys to be specific on what your goal will be. Okay, so just like I gave you the opportunity to choose a goal, I would like for Jeanette to get the opportunity to maybe set a goal for what maybe something that mom can work on for the next 2 weeks, or maybe something that you guys can mutually work on besides, helping with the cleanup in the house. What would be a goal that you would like for mom to work on? Again, it can be with communication, it could be with interaction. What would it be like?
I just want her to come home from work and not just like yell and complain about everything I didn't do. Like, she doesn't see the things I do. Like, I make my brothers and sisters food. Like, yeah, it's not like a 5-course meal. It's a sandwich or Lunchables, but they're like, she doesn't see the small things I do. It's just like, she just comes in, you didn't do this, you didn't do that. It's just like constant nagging. It's like, I do stuff.
Okay, once we have our goal established, what could be some things that we can practice to avoid conflict? We want her to be able to stick to her commitment, and of course, I would also like for you to work with your daughter in maybe providing less reminders and not bringing up less of the negativity and focusing a little bit more on the positive things that she's going to be doing. What are some strategies or what would be some techniques that we could possibly practice that maybe have worked in the past for you to kind of avoid the arguments and the conflicts in the home?
Well, I mean, I guess she's right. She does feed the kids and, she does keep them safe. So I guess I could acknowledge that more. Like, she is present for them. Nobody has ended up in the hospital yet. So I guess that's I need to start seeing more of that in her. I guess I do sometimes just get totally caught up in the things she hasn't done in my stress and frustration, and I guess I can notice more of the things
I'm glad that
she's
you bring up the stress. So let me rephrase the question. What strategies or what techniques have you used in the past to manage your stress better so that you're not on top of like her telling her what she's done wrong or what she isn't doing? How can you help manage your stress in the home so that we can avoid conflict between you two?
Well, I guess I could try and, take care of myself a little better, maybe get some more me time, spending, maybe time on visiting with a friend on the phone 30 minutes a day, or I can try and maybe go for a walk in the morning so
Okay.
I'm not as stressed out.
How difficult is it to walk away once, like, maybe she's talking back to you or maybe she's arguing?
Oh, it's so tough.
Yeah.
Like, I'm the mom. She needs to listen to me. And when she doesn't listen to me, it makes me really upset. So it's very tough.
Okay. What about for you, Jeanette? What are some strategies or techniques that you can practice to avoid those behaviors of talking back to mom and just adding more gas to the existing conflict?
Well, sometimes I don't even talk back. I just like walk away, and she gets mad too, and she just comes barging in my room, like, listen to me. So I try to walk away.
Okay.
She's just the one who keeps following me in my room.
So we have 2 goals that we need to work on for the next 2 weeks. It's gonna be tough not to argue. It's gonna be tough not to ignore her behaviors. And to be honest with you guys, I've seen it, this scenario with different families where they're giving up on the first week because things are not coming up the way they anticipated. But I would like for you guys to be committed in practicing, your strategies and techniques. Maybe mom walking away and acknowledging when she's walking away, being able to take those red flags. She's giving you a red flag that she's getting upset, and maybe that's the reason why she's walking away. Not necessarily that she's being disrespectful to you or rude, but more like, I don't want to argue right now. Do you think you would be able to practice that for maybe the next 2 weeks?
I can try. I can try. And I mean, I guess, yeah, it's better than her yelling and screaming back at me.
Okay, that's great. Remember that one of the best ways to communicate is, of course, verbally, but sometimes our non-verbal behaviors can also be used as a way of communication. So, like her Jeanette walking away from situations of conflict, it's a good way of just in this case for you, Susie, to remind yourself that she's walking away not because she wants to be disrespectful to you, but because, of course, it's always the same pattern of behaviors, the arguments, and it's not leading anywhere. So, um, let me ask you guys just this last question before I dismiss you guys from today's session. So, um, if you guys could think of one thing that maybe you guys would like to acknowledge from one another, what would it be? We've mentioned a lot of things for the last 2 weeks. What would be one thing that you guys can acknowledge, a positive thing? And I would like for you guys to stick with this for the next 2 weeks until we see each other again. What would you acknowledge from Jeanette? You mentioned a lot of good things. Okay, so I would like for you guys to live from today's session thinking that there's some positivity as well. Okay, so what would you acknowledge about Jeanette's? What some positive things, strengths that you would highlight?
Well, she has been doing a lot better about her attendance at school.
Okay.
Previously, she was having some truancy issues. So she has seemed a lot more committed to school. Despite our fighting, she usually is a smiley, goofy, happy person. So she does, she can bring a lot of happiness in our household whenever we're in a good place.
Mm-hmm.
And she has been working on her grades. So
Okay, that's great to hear, Jeanette. As a high schooler, I was a high schooler myself. I know it's tough, to be able to pass most of our classes. A lot of stress, not only at school but at home. So I'm happy to hear from that your grades are improving. Which again, Susie, that this would be a reminder for you. There are negative things that we need to work individually and as a family. But this, what you just shared with us, is just a sign that Jeanette is trying her best to improve on other areas of her life. Okay, she was probably not doing the best she could in school, but she's working on her grades, so she has that ability, to improve her behavior. So maybe just giving her an opportunity and trusting her, would be something to work on. And maybe we can talk about it next session, if you don't mind. Jeanette, something to highlight about mom's overall behavior, like a positive thing or maybe a strength that you can mention or share with her.
Well, I know my mom's a single mom and she works really hard to make sure we have everything we need, and she's always there, even though I don't want her to always be there, but she's always there for me. And I'm happy that she's my mom, even though she can get really annoying. But yeah, I see how hard she works for our family and to make sure I have everything I need.
Okay. Well, it sounds to me that you kind of acknowledge that she's trying her best to be a good mom. And the one thing I would like for you to take from this session, let's try to forget about the things that we mentioned and we said to one another, last session. But you bring up, the how hard work of a how hard worker she is. And I would like for you to focus on that for the next 2 weeks. That maybe when she comes and address you for something that you didn't do well, or maybe you forgot to do one of the 3 things from her list, she's doing it just because she wants you guys to get better in your relationship. Okay, just like she's trying really hard to be a good mom and try to provide for, yourself and your siblings. I could tell it, based on you guys' relationship, that you guys are overwhelmed with this situation and you guys just want to overcome it. Okay, so just remind yourself of the positive things you guys said to each other, you know, there are things that tell me as a therapist that you guys want to get better, you know, and maybe we can use those strengths as a reminder not to focus too much on the negative stuff, but value, you know, and acknowledge the effort that the other person is doing to, you know, make the relationship better.